Matthias, you mentioned something about some of the first fitness clubs. Care to share that with the audience real quick?
Yeah, I mean, the first like modern gym, fitness center, whatever, was actually founded in Germany, where Jane is part from. Her dad, her mother or father was from Germany, and I believe it was in like Frankfurt or something like that, one of the big cities, where it was like a social club. People would go there to have fun, talk to people, drink beers, and all the machines and the benches and stuff like that would actually have beer shelves on the wall next to them, where you could put your beer.
I'm saying what goes around comes around. I'm ready for that to come back into the popular scene.
That would be fun. People would enjoy.
Yeah, I mean,
they would enjoy it for sure.
I did it once actually, and it was fun. It was hella fun, just taking shots between sets and stuff like that. Until someone told us we couldn't do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was very
but these rolled out at the end of the month to get your membership goals like hit real easy that way. Shoot.
Oh yeah. So free shots and free gym memberships if you're a stripper, right?
You better believe it. And then I remember we had a Christmas party at a gym we used to have. We had the shot deadlift, the Jägermeister shot deadlift challenge, where we 50%, yeah, exactly. It's like 50% of your max shot rep, whatever. I think the winner, sadly, I think the winning set was like 17 reps, aka 17 shots also. So
that's not very impressive, is it?
Rich did a whole YouTube video like that. He took a power lifter and they were competing against each other and doing one bench press and then drinking beer.
There you go. I mean, not to brag or anything, but when I used to drink a lot, like I had a day where I had like 17 beers and I was only beginning to feel as a small boss. So I don't. You should have got that.
Yeah, but did you do it?
You should have got
rapid fire though.
What?
Keep in mind, this was 17 shots and 17 deadlifts, like back and forth continuously.
Oh,
whatever. I was mildly impressed. I thought it was pretty good.
Well, if it's like no rest at all, you're not fucking around and making like bigger rest times out of it. Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think there's a lot of people who could have done more, probably.
Wow, it's the 17 shots that sneak up on you, man. I'm telling you. Well, you ought to try it. It'd be a good YouTube video, Matthias. Set the goal for 20.
Absolutely.
But
I tune in for that.
I rarely drink these days, so I don't know if I can match it. But
it makes it even more exciting.
If I am, it's definitely not going to be Jägermeister, because I remember when that was popular, and it's like, I'm not having that. Maybe a Jack Daniels or something like that.
Oh no, Jägermeister's where that makes it more fun. Trust me. For people watching.
Oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m. like I do every day of the week. At 7 it's like Jägermeister and deadlift, and then the rest of the day is a big break. Okay.
There you go.
That's a day well spent.
Right.
Okay. Funny.
Jane, I was talking to some of my people about you coming on the show, and just give them the background to the best of my ability. And everyone I talked to wanted me to like ask you this question.
Okay.
How did you guys become, after a divorce, how do you have the ability to be like fantastic business partners, best friends, move forward and have healthy communication, like as a real thing? Because as I'm sure you're well aware, that is like not a common attribute people have. Like, share that part with us. Like, maybe that's the real way to be married. Just keep the personal stuff out of it, and it's just business and friendship. I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, for me, it was Rich and I were best friends. I mean, even through our marriage, we were best friends. And one thing we did have is we had a really good communication. And even for the last 10, 12 years that we were married, I don't recall us ever getting mad at each other in the sense of screaming and yelling and cursing. We had discussions. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, if we disagree, the discussions would last 12 hours, but they were not raised voices, no cursing, no disrespect. So when we did divorce, just because things, don't turn out the way you expect romantically, he didn't change. He didn't become a different person. I didn't become a different person. The person I loved, the person I respected was still there. Just because the romantic part winds up not being what each of you want in a romantic partner, it doesn't mean that the person you have isn't that wonderful person, because I loved him very, very much. He loved me very much. we had such a good friendship and a trust that I don't know, it just seemed normal to talk to him. I mean, even after we separated, he called me. We talked to each other 2 or 3 times a day. We would see each other 2 or 3 times a week. And then we didn't even move on our divorce for 3 years or more after we separated, because we were like, we're not in any rush, we're fine. And then, it was just when we would date people, because we were so close, we would tell whoever we were dating, look, I'm still friends with my ex. If that's going to be an issue with you, then we can't date. Because at that point, what Rich had said, and it was really interesting when we had separated, he said, you're family. We are family. And that was how I viewed him. Like, you could argue with your brothers or your uncles and your aunts and your nieces and nephews, and you could fight like cats and dogs. But at the end of the day, they love you and you love them, and you guys will be there for each other. So that's how family is with each other. And that's how Rich and I were, 100%. We could disagree, we could be mad at each other, we could do whatever, but in the end, we knew that I knew he had my back, he knew I had his back. And we had already established such a good relationship before that it didn't make sense to just hate someone just because you're separating.
Sure.
I've never conceptualized that. I don't understand that. I don't understand why people are so acrimonious when they divorce. And I understand a lot of it has to do with the finances. And I think Rich and I, we didn't argue about that. We sat down and we discussed, what are you going to get? What am I going to get? How are we going to split this up? So that there was just no argument. Then we finally, when we decided to do the divorce, we went to We the People, spent $800 and had our divorce. That is how we got along. I mean, when we got to We the People and we went to this attorney or that attorney to finalize our divorce, everyone was like, oh, well, who gets the toaster? Who gets this? And I was like, people, we've already separated everything. All we want is the final paperwork. There's no reason to rehash what he gets, and don't tell me I can get more from him or he can get more from me. We are completely happy with what we decided to separate and how we decided to separate our assets. There is no reason for you to cause more acrimony by trying to get more business for yourself. We're not that person. And
lawyers try to like extrapolate situations to make more money?
They did. They tried to get us riled up against each other, to fight each other. So, telling me I'm not getting this, and the other attorney telling Rich he could get this from me, and another attorney telling me I could get this from Rich. And neither of us wanted to hurt each other. And we just said, no, we're not going to sit down and fill that out. And they're like, well, when you divorce, it's up to 3 years, he could come back and da da da. And I said, well, I don't think he will. And even if he does, who cares? We'll deal with it then.
Right.
I'm not going to start
the
it
older
now.
you get, the funnier lawyer jokes become.
True.
Right?
Very true.
I heard that a long time ago. That's not even a joke. That's just true.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't know, people think it's weird, and people, like, especially with the business, I had to hide my last name, because when I was working with him, I did Jane W, which is my maiden name is Workman. So I did that as my email and my business cards and stuff, because people, when they thought or realized I was his ex-wife, would try to get information from me to get a hold of Rich. And I didn't want that. And then some of the women we were sponsoring had an attraction to Rich, and then they were upset thinking that I was going to treat them differently because they were flirting with Rich, and they didn't understand. I wanted him to be happy. I couldn't care less who he dated as long as he was happy and the person treated him well. I was only against the women if they mistreated him, because to me, he's family, and I want he's my priority. When people say, oh, well, I know where my loyalty lied. It went with Rich first and everyone second to that. And if people didn't like that, that's too bad. I mean, he was with me the longest, and I had that relationship with him. So he was my priority always.
Right. Okay. It's safe to say, and I can relate to this, certainly no Boy Scout either. I literally got kicked out of the Boy Scouts. Rich being no Boy Scout, there has to be a few interesting, fun, wacky stories about the man you can share with us, because you probably don't have enough time to share all of them, but just some of the cool stuff about Rich. share some stuff with us, because I know the guy is like a very colorful, like salty human being. The audience, I'm sure, will get a kick out of some of the stories. Fun stuff, cool stuff, whatever.
Well,
Just
we had,
what can you share with us?
yeah, we had a lot of laughs, and it was only because, as you know, gear use does affect mood in the sense of your anger is a little bit more on edge. So Rich and I used to laugh at the silly things he would do. And this is a funny story. We have many of them where food, because he's a bodybuilder. We were in Vegas at the time watching a fight, and we got done and we were heading back to the hotel. And it was just enough time for him to get to the steak restaurant. And of course, back in the day, we didn't have GPS on our phone. It was an actual map that you had to look. So I was guiding him, he was driving, and he kept missing the exit because visually it looked like the exit, the freeway was merging. And I said, no, you stay on this lane. Even though it looks like it's merging, it goes to the exit. And he kept going in circles. We'd miss it. He'd come back, miss it, come back. And I'm like, no, stay on. And he just kept doing that. And finally, I said, get out of the driver's seat after like an hour and a half.
Oh, God.
And I just stayed on, and I showed him, I said, see, but by the time we got to the restaurant, of course, it's closed. Now he's upset because food is so such a priority to him. He's like, no, I have to eat at this stupid little this little 24-hour restaurant, and the food sucks, and I wanted my steak. And I was like, yeah, but if you weren't so darn stubborn,
right,
and listen to the directions, we'd have been here an hour and a half ago. But we laugh about that, and and he just those little things. Like another time, we were at a gas station, and you can make a right to get out of the gas station, or you can go on the other side and make a left and then make a right. He's trying to make a left, and there's so much traffic, he can't make a left. So he keeps backing up, going forward, backing up, going forward. And I said, well, why don't you just make a right? There's no traffic. And he's like, gosh darn it, I'm going to drive the way I want to drive. Don't tell me how to drive.
Oh my God.
And of course, 10 more minutes of that, then he gets on the freeway, and we're halfway home. And finally he says, it's a good thing you didn't say anything. He goes, we would have been in a fight. He goes, and I acted like a fool. So as much as he knew that he had a short temper because of the gear, the funny part is if I just let him vent a little, he would afterwards acknowledge what a fool he was. He'd be like, okay, I just did something stupid and you let me. And that's like, well, yeah, I wasn't going to argue with you.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it became stories that we tell people. Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a while to settle in how stupid you're being. And eventually, if no one says something, you got to admit it yourself. So I can completely relate.
Yeah. So we had tons of stories where we told people about him being silly, because one thing about Rich, he had two moods. He had happy or mad. He didn't have depressed. He didn't cry. He was never negative. He was always positive. And if you made him mad, then he would go through his little anger thing, but then he'd be done. It'd be over, and he'd be back to being happy. It was interesting when I first met him, because I'm like, he doesn't have, I'd go through periods where I'm a little down or depressed, and he never had those. He couldn't identify those. When I felt like that, he couldn't identify. And I couldn't identify how he could be so happy all the time.
Yeah, I remember seeing a meme. It was like control system in a woman's mind. It's like 42 switches, gauges, wires going everywhere. Men's was like two options. Boom, boom. So
yeah, that's pretty much, yeah.
That.
Yeah, that makes me, that's why I like working with men easier, because it's very straightforward. Women, you have to read between the lines. You have to kind of gauge how they're feeling. What kind of day is it,
Yeah,
for sure.
But it's almost illegal to say that these days,
I'm a girl, I can say it. If you guys said it, you would be pilloried.
No, I mean, it's okay that we say it now because we are agreeing with the woman who said it, so it's different now.
Yeah.
Plus, you're in Denmark, you're like 44,000 miles away.
Yeah, but they're gonna come for you, Corey. All those green-haired, blue-haired women are gonna chase you down, and I'm gonna sit back here in Denmark and be just fine.
Right, no kidding. Okay, hey, I remember there was a big viral video of some guy trying to throw a punch at Rich at a show or some craziness years ago. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, that was that was actually it, that there was two different incidences, but the one was Mack Truck. He used to be sponsored by our company, and then when he had a kind of a, he was using Rich for things, and Rich said, "Hey, you know, I'm no longer going to, you know, have you as part of my team." He got very upset, and he came to an expo. Yeah, he came to an expo, and he wanted to attack Rich and cause chaos. And we didn't expect it, but he shows up, and he had a camera and tried to take a punch, you know, a sucker punch. And of course, our whole team went out there after him, and it was just, it was stupid. But, you know, Rich, out of all of us, you know, the team, you know, there was all these big guys that were really ready to take on Mack's group of guys. But Rich sat there and was yelling at everyone and said, "Calm down. It's an expo. We are not getting into this." So he kept it from going escalating. And I'm glad, because the thing is, he kept in mind that it's a business. We're at an expo. We are not here to start a gang fight. And even though the guy tried to take a sucker punch and get drama for his YouTube video to get YouTube clicks, you know, just clickbait. Rich didn't let it get to that point. I mean, it did start to escalate, but Rich was too busy screaming at everyone to calm down. So I mean, if he hadn't, we probably would have been kicked out of the Fit Expo and probably never been able to come back. But because Rich did not instigate it, nor did he let it accelerate, they came by and they questioned everybody and pretty much let it go.
Gotcha. There's another incident similar to that also?
Well, it wasn't an incident. What happened is there was a guy that was, he has all these following, and he, I think he's got a little bit of a mental thing, autism or something. But what happened was he was getting all of his followers to go on to Rich's page and his girl's page at that time and tell him, "Die, we're going to cut your head off." You know, just a lot of death threats and a lot of mean things. And it was just hundreds and hundreds of people going down there writing that. And Rich is like, "If you're going to be insulting to me, then when you come up to my, you know, if you come up to my booth, you know, I'm going to be mad." So he talked to the guy and he's like, "I deserve, you know, I can't believe you stand in line." But he didn't understand that the guy was a little off mentally. So he was treating him like someone who is very capable of understanding. And so they kind of had a little tiff at the booth. But what happened in the end, Rich talked to the guy, he apologized. Once he realized that guy wasn't all there mentally and he was doing things because he was a fan, and then he felt offended because Rich didn't acknowledge him at one point, that was why he did that. Like a child, you know, when someone isn't mature enough emotionally, they will act out, and they, you know, that's kind of how he did. So when Rich realized his mistake and he realized that he had taken it wrong, you know, then he talked to the guy, he reached out to him, they had a conversation, and since then that all got you know, fixed. But yeah, he just misunderstood the kid. You know, the kid didn't really want to hurt him. He just was such a big fan and was you know, felt rebuffed.
Gotcha. Sounds like a mountain out of a molehill incident and everything got smoothed out. Basically.
Yeah, but you know, it became an internet sensation because people wanted, you know, and look, Rich beating a young kid. Look at Rich doing this and that. You know, he's mistreating this kid that's a little mentally handicapped. And yeah, it does look like a big guy abusing a poor mentally handicapped child. You know, young. He was in his 20s, but you know, when someone's mentally like a teenager, it's not the same.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I mean, Rich, big personality, super positive guy overall, helped a lot of people, encouraged a lot of people. You know, let's kind of wrap up some of those stories. Anyone that's successful in a trading business is typically good at motivating, encouraging other people. The guy obviously had a lot of positive energy, did a lot of cool stuff. So kind of like wrap it up with some of the like highlights of Rich helping other people that you care to share with us.
Oh gosh, I have hundreds of stories. I can't even pick out one. I still today have people messaging me, telling me how Rich has impacted their lives. People got off drugs, people repaired their marriages, people, you know, did so much, you know, because they heard his positive message and the fact that they can. And so many people stopped and opened up new businesses and started new companies and businesses. And things they wanted to do but never did because they thought they couldn't. And when they heard Rich's message that you can, because Rich started out with one day you may, and that the end of that basic sense is one day you may. If you go 100%, try to do whatever you can, get whatever you want. One day you may, you will succeed. Just you need to do it. And then he went with love it, kill it, which is basically, if you love something, basically kill it, go for it, 100%, balls to the wall, don't stop. And then 5% would be 5% of the people that become successful because they do whatever it takes to get to where they're going. And Rich always had that. And I think because when he was younger, he struggled himself. He was always physically and athletically superior. But one thing he didn't have is he had a memory disorder and a speech impediment when he was younger. So he was with the slow class in school. So the way for him to excel and not be picked on was to use his athletic superiority to become an incredible athlete in the school. But because of him feeling like he wasn't quite brainy, smart enough and this and that, he always wanted to bring people together and let them know that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it. Just don't let anyone tell you you can't. So that was his motivation. Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the real legacy I think he left, is that, being an encourager, a motivator, someone that can really get in someone's head in the right way. That's just brings such value to everybody. That's pretty cool. I'm glad I asked that question. And that's always the vibe I picked up on, is that Rich is such a classic, like, it's not how hard you get hit, it's if you get back up and keep going type guy. And
exactly.
Evidently his purpose on this earth was filled. That's why he's not here anymore. But talk about a serious, like, real influencer, not just in the social media vernacular, like a real influencer in a lot of people's lives. Sounds like he made a big impact.
Oh, so many people to this day. I still have people telling me their stories, and I love it because I can't believe how many hundreds of people he actually inspired to improve their lives. And I think that that's an amazing trait that very few people have.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I think that's really what it's all about. The show, we like spreading positivity, like stories of overcoming, stories of success. And, like, I guess the final question then, tips that anyone you can share that's got a big goal, wants to accomplish something, maybe they struggle with something, who knows what it is, but somebody that has a goal, who needs to get back on track, or maybe is struggling with the confidence to get something done, fire away, and we're going to wrap it up like that.
Well, I think, in my opinion, for me, because I'm not like Rich, I don't naturally wake up with that kind of positivity. I have a tendency, I journal, I do affirmations every day and gratitude, because the point is, it's so easy to become complacent in our lives where we have a nice home, we have a car that works, we have a job. So then what happens is you start looking for things that are missing in your life, and you focus on the missing and you don't appreciate what you do have. So I think part of life is learning gratitude for the things you do have, because if you have good family, you have good friends, you have a place to live, you have a car that works, you have a job that produces, start with that. If you wake up and you can do some gratitude about the things you do have, it changes your whole perception. And if you're grateful for the things you can, and if you look forward to the future and you have gratitude for the fact that you have this opportunity to become better, you're working on becoming better, whether it's business, relationships, whatever, fitness. If you focus on that, focus on the positive, you bring that to you. I think I don't believe in focusing on negative things. Rich taught me that. And if you focus on negative, all you do is wallow in your misery. If you focus on positive, you wind up, you don't even realize, but your brain will set you up to incrementally start moving towards your goal if you're focused on it.
Right. Yeah, my cousin shared something with me. It ties into what you're saying. Your resources will appear based on the goals that you set.
And whatever you focus on comes to you. That's the thing. If you ever notice, if you're looking for a white car that's whatever, Navigator, let's say, and all of a sudden you notice all these white Navigators, it's not because they just suddenly appeared. You're now focused on it. Whatever you focus on comes to you, or you naturally start working toward that because you're so focused on it. And that was how Rich lived his life. Whatever he wanted, he became so focused on that, it became his obsession. And he always produced it because he was focused on it. So I am trying to implement that in my life also, to have something, you know, to be positive, to focus on the positive, the things I want, not on the things that, yeah, maybe they're not so great in my life. Focusing on that doesn't do anything. It doesn't serve a purpose.
Right. I gotcha. Young entrepreneurs, final thought, share with someone that wants to start a business, become a business owner, do their own thing.
Well, whatever business
Obviously,
you
what
want
you
to
just said is very important, but like any details specifically relating to someone starting their own business.
Well, if you start your own business, the most important thing is to find somebody, whatever business you're in, start interviewing and talking to people that are in that business. Find out what steps they took to become successful, and then move from there. You know, because what happens is people don't know where to start, but if you can get advice on where to start, just you start with that. You know, like for us, it was about getting the licensing and the every little step along the way before we even started the company, you know, getting all the legal stuff, finding out what we needed, you know, first, and then going from there and then creating the company, you know. But that's the whole thing. It depends on what business you want to be in, what a goal you want to achieve. Find people or anyone around there that have achieved it, and just do interviews, talk to them. People are more than happy to help. I have found that successful people don't mind giving you advice and helping.
Right. I think that's great advice in of itself. You just said it right there. And I would, using Rich's mantra, like the love it, kill it thing, take that energy into the more like tedious like aspects of building your business. Take the energy and passion and put them into that too. Like Mike Tyson says, it's not just doing things you love with passion. It's doing some of the requirements of the things that you hate with that passion also.
Oh, absolutely.
And, yeah,
I don't
really
like paperwork, but it needs to be done.
Exactly. And the sooner you get it, the more energy you bring to it, the sooner it gets done, the better job you're going to do doing it. Ain't no doubt about that. Matthias, any questions or comments from you, Sexy Viking?
Not really, to be honest. I've just been hanging back and listening, you know.
He just got back from the toilet 30 seconds ago.
That's not true.
Oh, poor thing. Oh.
No. I went 5 times earlier this day, so I should be good for a while. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, this show is a wrap. Jane, can't thank you
very
enough.
much.
I thought you shared some awesome information with us, and really cool to get to know you a little bit. This is a wrap for today. Rap Fiend Radio, the Corey Maselli Show, brought to you by Squat Life. And final thing, plug 5% Nutrition. How do people order stuff, learn more about it, that sort of thing?
5% Nutrition. You can go online. It's we don't have a retail store because we have retailers that we sell to, so they're all over. And if you go on our website, and I always use the direct link of rich-piana.com because I like using his name. That sends you right to 5% Nutrition. If you want to do 5%, it's the numeral 5% nutrition.com. That's the direct link. But there's a link on our site. There's several links if you want to find a retailer near you, so you can just walk into a supplement store and pick up supplements instead of having to order it online. We also have an Amazon business account, so you can order it on Amazon. You can order it on a 5% Nutrition. You can find a local retailer by going on our website and looking for a retailer near you. We're all over the place.
Fantastic. All right. Much love to everybody out there. Peace. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later. Thank you.
You betcha.